porch atheist. What the hell is that? Me and my friend DJ came up with the term about a year and a half ago, maybe. It's basically an atheist who makes excuses for religions. Any religion, whether it be Islam or Christianity or Judaism. For example, Steve Shives saying this.
I think the main problem in the United States regarding Islam is not that more people need to hear really good debunkings of Muslim religious beliefs, but that people need to be educated on the plight of Muslims living in this country and on the fact that Muslims do not pose a threat to our society, that Islamic terrorism, while it is absolutely atrocious and awful and something that should be fought and should be stamped out around the world, does not currently pose an existential threat to the United States. Fears about the existential threat of Islamic terrorism to the United States have been grossly exaggerated by people who are using xenophobia and racism.
I'm talking to myself on the stream.
Good. I was just wondering.
You're wondering if I
I
am intentionally not talking to you.
I'm intentionally not listening.
Okay, close the door and enjoy your show. I hate you. Love you.
To their own political ends. And I think the main message that people in this country need to get about Muslims is not religious debunking of their faith and their beliefs, but that they are by and large peaceful people who are compatible with our society, who have lived among us in peace ever since the United States has existed, who are not a threat to us, who do not mean us any harm, who are not trying to take away our freedom or impose some kind of religious dictatorship on us, who do not share the same beliefs and approve of the methods of radical extremists who use violence and murder for their own ends. That's the message that needs to be sent, not here's a bunch of reasons why Islam is a false religion. I don't think that's the message that people like me and Americans in general need to hear right now. The message that they need to hear is that Muslims are a marginalized,
downtrodden. Nice moisture on the lips, Steve. Jesus. Yeah, make Star Trek real, Steve. You can do it. The plight of the Muslim. Are you fucking insane?
Trodden minority in this country.
Spoken like a guy who doesn't live within 1,000 miles of a Muslim. Spoken like a guy who doesn't live within hundreds of miles of black people. He lives in a town with 97.5% whites.
And they need our support and our help.
Make Steve a porch atheist. Or someone who is against Islam maybe saying that we are a nation built on Christian values, which is horseshit, because why on earth would we need the Enlightenment if Christian values were so great and we're building our country? So basically they can make apologetics for all religions or maybe have double standards for two different religions. Now, some of you may have heard this term for the first time from Nightmare Fuel, Reese. He made a video against Armored Skeptic, and he called him a porch atheist in this video. And Greg's response was, "What the hell is a porch atheist?" And the idiot looked it up online. Thought he would find it there, but it was just something I had made up, not too long before that. And Reese liked the term and helped popularize it. I don't think it's popular yet, but you get my point. There's something else I think makes someone a porch atheist. Not being a tough atheist. Not being an anti-theist. Being wishy-washy about your atheism. Pussy atheists. Especially those who believe religion is harmful but yet don't want to speak out about it. I consider them porch atheists all.
I think the larger point, which is what I always try to highlight, is that they're just weak people. This is a internal characteristic that they embody, and they just carry it with them. And so whether it's the topic of atheism or not, you're going to see that exhibited in many aspects of their life. It gets accentuated when the larger the issue, the more important the issue, their flaws come to the surface. So like if it's race or if it's religion, things that matter to not just the individual but to the public.
also. Now you may be thinking, why am I even bringing this up? Why are we talking about porch atheism? Well, it has to do with a little live stream I just seen recently. Dave Rubin just did a live stream 2 days ago where he said, I'm back from being off the grid and I've been away for a month. I haven't been online and I'm back. So he had a live stream, and in the middle of it, he gets into a little portion about atheism. And I nearly flipped my shit from what he said, because I knew what he said was insane at first. And then I started to think, I think he's lying about this, or he's misremembering it or something, because it doesn't line up to what I recall. Now granted, I'm a pothead, but I have a pretty good long-term memory still. It's only the short-term that disappears. Now, a lot of people have been coming down on Dave in the last year, and I've stayed away from it because it really didn't bother me too much what he was doing with his interviews. A lot of people get into the right-left
Yeah, well, Billy was a guy who didn't condemn Trump, didn't vote for Hillary, just like Dave Rubin. So what are you going to condemn him about? Being exactly like you?
politics, and I'm not big into that. So people claiming he's becoming right-wing, or he
He did a video on Prager, said why I left the left.
is right-wing, or he's a right-wing shill. He's pandering to the right wing just so he could get some money, make that bread. I didn't really want to get into it because I don't have any proof. I mean, you see what you see and you can interpret it how you want. So I really didn't get on his case for that. But this really pissed me off because I guess atheism is my sore spot. It's why I started a YouTube channel. It's why I've watched YouTube for so long. And not for nothing, with all this change in YouTube where a lot of people were doing anti-social justice videos, me and a few others like AIU, Reese, even Hagbard, Masked Arab, people like that, were doing videos against Islam and religion still, while everyone backed off because, it stopped being about Christianity and it started being about Islam. And I don't know, people got scared or what it was. They don't feel they know enough about the religion to talk about it. Whatever the case may be, we are the YouTubers that kept the atheist part of the skeptic community going.
Yeah, good point. I mean, the other people, I guess you could technically call them atheists, some of these other YouTubers, but it's not important to them and it never was. And so they're just, no, yeah, I guess kind of I'm an atheist. I mean, they barely will tell you that. What do you think, Fat Greg? You think he's going to come out and be like, oh yeah, I'm full on into atheism?
And we don't get recognition for it. It's all good. Whatever. I'm not here for recognition. But Dave, you really got to me, and this is all it's going to take for me to say, fuck you. But that being said, this really got to me because I just hate pussy atheists. It's bad enough that we're the biggest minority in the world and that there's over 6 billion religious people in the world. We don't need people who believe like we do to be soft about their ideas, especially since we are the correct ones. Oh, that's gonna trigger some of my audience. Too fucking bad. This is an atheist channel. You know that from the beginning. You don't like it, don't watch. And I'm not trying to be mean to you people. I love you all. But that's the channel and that's what you came here for. And if you didn't come here for that, you gotta deal with it. But like I said, this is all it takes for me to tell Dave to fuck off. I don't need to deal with Dave Rubin anymore. Like, you're worthless to me at this point. I didn't need to go into all that other stuff. Let the other people who are dealing with that part of the equation deal with it. If they think Dave's shilling for the right wing, it's possible. This video, after what I watched here, it may be true. They may be correct, but I'm not going to fight that fight because, like I said, this is all it took for me. So let me show you the clip real quick so I can get into how much Dave is either lying or he's really fucking retarded and doesn't remember his position on things or how he got there or what made him talk about them. Here we go.
Let's see. Welcome back, Dave. Glad you've taken off the grid time and had some physical work around your house. This is our real regeneration. Have you become a believer already by being offline? I'm so glad you asked that question. And I wasn't going to get into it right now, but I'm glad you asked it. And I'm reading all these things live, so you might ask me something that I'm not prepared to answer. So I do want to say something about the believer thing. So, until I started this show on Aura 2 years ago, so earlier before I said the thing about that I consider this the 3rd season of this show. So, originally when we launched the Rubin Report and we were part of the Young Turks, it was a different show altogether. A lot of the things that I was talking about was different, just the whole thing. So I kind of put that version of the show aside. Then I would view season 1 of the Rubin Report as being when we launched on Aura TV. The first episode that I think most of you have seen was the first time that I had ever met Sam Harris. And we had a great run at Aura, and then we decided to leave. It had a lot to do with my original discussion with Yaron Brook about rational self-interest.
Dude, he cares about the various timeline of his empire way more than everybody else. Here's what happened. That was in May. I was with Aura. I was like, nobody cares about your affiliation with Aura, or when you went independent, or when you took a month vacation. Like he just talks like, fuck, like everybody's like. I mean, I had no idea he was gone.
And working for yourself and all that kind of stuff. So I would consider season 1 of the Rubin Report was that whole run at Aura. I would say season 2 of the Rubin Report started last June when we decided to go independent. We went on Patreon, so this is about 14 months ago or so, maybe 15 months now. I would consider that to be season 2. Everything we did from there, from going independent to then buying this house and having a home studio, all of that season 2. I would say as of today, we are now in season 3. The reason I mention all this in terms of believer is because when we did the thing on Aura and I had Sam on first, I suddenly had a burst of atheists on. I had Michael Shermer on and Peter Boghossian and obviously Sam and a bunch of others.
Yeah, Dave, you had all those people on because you were an atheist and you knew you were an atheist and you knew religion was a bunch of horse shit. Sorry to interrupt. That was getting long-winded there on his part, and that part pisses me off a lot right away.
And my feeling about belief always, I think always in my entire life, was that I just can't believe in something that isn't provable.
And in the context of God, Dave, that makes you an atheist.
But I never really said that I was an atheist or thought, didn't think about it, because I'd spent a lot of time in my life thinking about it. I've mentioned a story a couple of times about how when I was about 20 years old, I went to Egypt and I hiked Mount Sinai, which is supposedly where Moses got the 10 Commandments, and I was ready to have a religious experience, and it just didn't happen. It didn't happen. But in any event, I sort of got pinned into saying I was an atheist.
What?
Because I had all these people on, and by default, if you don't believe in something, and Peter Boghossian and I talked a bit about the difference between atheism and...
Yeah, I got pinned into being called a gay, because by default, if you're with other men and you sexually are attracted to them, then you're gay. But I've never called myself gay. I'm a same gender lover, something else.
Gnosticism. I don't want to get too lost in that right now. But I kind of got pinned into it.
Fucking liar. You got pinned into it because you had all these atheist guests that you decided to invite on, and because you don't believe in God. Yeah, you mentioned that there. Oh yeah, and because, if you don't believe, technically you're an atheist. Yeah, that makes you a fucking atheist. So you pinned yourself down? Who pinned you down, Dave? Peter Boghossian? Now, I know he didn't say Peter Boghossian pinned him down, but I decided to watch that interview with Boghossian, and this is what he says in that, and it's exactly what I remember, actually, because I do remember the moment Dave started talking about how he was an atheist. I knew it beforehand, but I wanted to double check, so I watched the Boghossian video just to make sure something wasn't said there, and something was actually said in the video that makes one of a few things true. Either Dave's a liar, Dave is pandering for a bigger audience, or he's a fucking idiot and the biggest pussy atheist of all time. So here's the Boghossian clip.
Right. So I think a lot of people, just from this first 5 or 6 minutes, are going to say, wow, this guy's a pretty open-minded atheist. Like that's going to be part of it. And I think one of the things you said right at the beginning of the book is you don't really define yourself as an atheist. And I thought your reasoning was actually really clever. Can you go into that a little bit?
What you tell me what you got of it, and then I'll.
Well, basically, you were saying I don't define myself as someone that doesn't believe in leprechauns.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. So, but yet there seems to be with atheists, there seems to be so much onus on them to constantly have to talk about it or whatever it is. I've only been in this
constantly. How about the first time in human history, on a big scale, on a big stage, constantly talk about it. Unbelievable. Yeah, but religious people never talk about their religion. That's not a thing.
Even publicly said that I was an atheist.
Yeah, I heard you say that. Yeah.
Literally, it was about 2 months ago, I think, when Milo Yiannopoulos was on the show. I always considered myself sort of a friend of the atheist community. I always liked atheists. I like free thinkers. I like critical thinkers. It wasn't something that really hit me.
Try critically thinking about this. Yes, because you hang around with liberal Jews in New York and LA. None of your friends or associates are religious. Until they start paying you.
One way or another. I didn't feel like I needed to say, all right, I have to make this announcement or this announcement. But somehow in that conversation with him, I had finally sort of got to my breaking point or something.
Well,
And there you have it. He said he got fed up with Milo Yiannopoulos, and he said he was an atheist. Now let's go show you that clip. After about 5 minutes of Milo yapping about how atheists are this oppressive group and Christians and Muslims and, you know, the entire world, basically over 6 billion people, are not the status quo somehow, and the cool thing is atheism, he finally, you know, I guess gets pinned down and says this.
But it's not about positions of power. Now, it's about
But what do you think?
social caching.
So what do you think that the average atheist, which an atheist is only brought together by the lack of belief in a deity?
They're brought together by, you know, sort of wispy facial hair, terrible spectacles, sort of long ginger ponytails, terrible thin-skinned natural sort of demeanor, you know, hair trigger temper. These are the primary characteristics of an atheist.
Milo, look at me.
Socks and sandals,
Look at me.
you know,
Look at me.
those terrible cheap chinos, you know, all that kind of stuff.
All right,
That's
I
what you
think
want.
you're conceding I won this
If
one.
that's
Okay.
what you want to aspire to, then go right ahead. But, you know,
Atheist.
Catholics
Atheist. I
have
didn't dress up
all
for
the
you.
best outfits, you know, rich older men in dresses, what's not to love? We know.
So there you saw it. Watch the clip again. He points to himself, up and down, atheist, atheist. I'm not ugly like those people. I'm not like this. I'm an atheist.
But, you know,
Atheist.
Catholics
Atheist. I
have
didn't dress up
all
for
the
you.
best outfits.
So who exactly pinned you down, Dave? Now let's finish off the original clip from the live stream, just so you could see the ridiculousness Dave goes to try and worm his way out of calling himself an atheist a year ago.
And one of the things that I was thinking in this last month, which is why I'm glad you asked this question, and I'll have some people on to discuss it a little bit further, is I can't, look, there are probably things that I believe that I can't prove. So like, I'll just give you an easy one that people use as an example. Look, if you say, well, do you love your mother? Well, everyone says yes to that, but how do you prove that? How do you actually prove that? Is that actually provable?
Wow. Dave goes to some of the worst religious apologetics I've ever heard. How do you prove love? First of all, we can fucking prove love. It's chemicals in your fucking brain, and we could take brain scans and see the chemicals acting and the receptors doing their things. We could pinpoint to exactly where love comes from in the brain. Secondly, you don't have to fucking prove you love someone, except for to the person you love. And they'll know if you love them or not, because people who love others do certain things for them. It's the fucking dumbest argument I've ever heard. Well, we can't prove love. Well, we can't prove you're happy, Dave. Well, we can't prove you're sad. Well, we can't prove that you're in pain even though your fucking stomach's about to explode from fucking appendicitis. Can we prove any of that shit, Dave? God damn, what a weak and stupid fucking argument that is.
I don't know. But what I would say is I did think there were a few times, again, because I was in this place of real gratitude to you guys and allowing my brain to just kind of breathe a little bit more and all that stuff. I was thinking that there are things probably that I believe that I can't necessarily quite explain or that I wonder about or whatever. And maybe that's more just the spiritual side of things. I don't think that there is a man in the sky who's watching and judging who I have sex with or what I'm doing privately or any of that stuff.
What I'm doing privately is a lady.
But maybe the phrase atheist isn't so important.
It's not a phrase. It's a fucking word. It's an easy description. God.
Relative to the things that I really care about isn't that important. And that I possibly believe in some things that I can't quite explain yet. So I'm glad I don't even know that I fully formed that through yet, but I'm glad you asked about that, so thank you.
So let me get this straight. You're happy because people have been giving you money and now you had time to get away for a month and you got to relax, and all of a sudden there's things you believe in that you can't prove and you're like, oh wait, how do I deal with this? What things, Dave? Ghosts? Do you believe in ghosts now? What are these things you can't prove, Dave? What are they? The afterlife? Do you think you might live forever now because you were in Mexico and the beautiful sky was there and it was grander than you and everything you've ever known, Dave? Is that what it is? You're right, Dave. It doesn't sound like you fully understand what the fuck you're talking about. It doesn't sound like you fully thought this through. You sound like a fucking asshat. Fuck Dave Rubin, fuck porch atheists, and fuck religion. Have a good night, guys. I'm fucking done. Peace.
But, you know,
Atheist.
Catholics
Atheist.
have all the best outfits.
But I never really said that I was an atheist or thought. I sort of got pinned into saying I was an atheist.
But, you know,
Atheist.
Catholics
Atheist.
have
I didn't dress up
all
for
the
you.
best outfits, you know.
Painful. Oh, there it is. This is basically the image that I'm going to use for the thumbnail because Hitch would not be pleased with this douche. And there we go. Perfect. The first sellout. There he is. Bring it on in. It's quite a treasure trove of imagery that I have here. I think that's plenty to get started. So, what's this? Jesus. Rubin. Okay. Well, Billy called him out. It was not lost on Billy that this guy is peddling bullshit. Let's bring that in. And that's good. There we go. I think we should be good. Oh, good. Alright. So let's speak on Rubin. Let's comment on his shenanigans.
Hey everybody. So it turns out Dave Rubin. Hey everybody. So it turns out Dave Rubin is back. I didn't know he was gone. He's kind of like herpes. It's like you stop thinking about it for a while, and then you're like, oh yeah, I have herpes. So he's back. He's grown a beard. He's done some soul searching, and he's got some new things to say. Oh my God. Okay, that is rich.
Call it Dave 1. And
Like, oh yeah. Hey everybody. So it turns out Dave Oh my God. Okay, that is rich. So he's broken this down into seasons of the Rubin Report. These also correlate with the seasons of Dave Rubin. They're ever changing. Now when he first came on the scene, for many of us who weren't keeled over laughing, who weren't hunched over in hysterical laughter, watching his comedy routine in New York, was on a little channel called The Young Turks. And this is where Dave was a total regressive, by his own admission and acknowledgement. He then started getting a clue. He watched my video takedowns of The Young Turks. We talked several times, and he's credited me with pulling him out of what we call the regressive matrix. One of the issues that regressives fail on and suck on is religion. I mean, they fail on most political issues, but really there's an attitude at play. There's a demeanor in which you carry yourself, and there's a self that makes you a regressive. Yourself that makes it's a weakness. It's a intentional dishonesty. It's a willingness to delude yourself, to blind yourself to facts to say things that sound nice and to call it a day. And to call it a day. That defines those people. That defines those people. Now, one of those topics is religion. Now, one of those topics is religion. So you'll get people bullshitting about religion. They will not be anti-theists. They will not call out Islam for being any different or any worse than any other religion in its doctrines and in how they're being carried. In its doctrines and in how it's being, and in how they're being implemented, in its doctrines and in how it's being carried out, and in how they're being, in its doctrines and in how they're being implemented in the world. They don't want to ruffle feathers. They want to virtue signal at all times. In other words, the project that they are undergoing is one of self. Project that they are undergoing is one of self glorification, not of discussing any one in particular, not in discussing the various, not in the various aspects of any issue. They don't care about the issue, they care about themselves. But they mask it with some white noise about whatever it is they're talking about. Back then, Dave had a view about atheism, which was, how could you describe it? Completely fucking laughable? Let's listen to an interview that he did a couple years ago while working at TYT with Anna Kasparian. And the video is titled, Anna Kasparian tells Dave Rubin why she's agnostic, not atheist. This was back in the humble days of Dave's career when he had very few subs. This was December 24th, 2013. This video has 22,000 views.
Okie dokie. That is Dave 2.
Hey guys, welcome to the Rubin Report. I am Dave Rubin, and as you can see, we've got a different set here, but Anna has sort of welcomed the show, and one of the things we did is how the belief in God is declining in America.
Yes.
And you've often said that you're agnostic, and Cenk, I think, also is agnostic.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in the
Cenk's agnostic too. We're both agnostic.
comment section wanted me to ask more about that and find out a little bit more about why you're agnostic. Why don't you go as far to say you're atheist, and then let's just start with that.
So I certainly don't believe in organized religion as it stands here on this planet. I
believe in organized religion. Nice pivot, Jesus.
feel like organized religion has led to more trouble than it has led to actual good things. I mean, the reality is the vast majority of people who are religious in the country are good people. They follow it because they want to believe that, you know, there is life after death. I think it's a coping mechanism. A lot of them do turn to it for morality, to live a wholesome life. I don't think you need religion to live a wholesome life or to be moral. So I just kind of reject the notion of organized religion as a whole. Now, as far as the whole agnostic versus atheist thing, I just feel really uncomfortable calling myself an atheist and pretending as though I know without a shadow of a doubt that there is no higher being. The truth is, I don't know, and no one really knows.
Right, so does that seem kind of hypocritical to you when people say they're an atheist? Because it's sort of saying like, I know there's nothing, while at the same time they're, I don't want to say demeaning, but they're sort of marginalizing the people that say, well, I do know there's something automatically.
Yeah, I don't know if hypocritical is the right word. I just feel like it's I don't know if they're being honest with themselves. And look, this is not to criticize atheists. You believe what you believe, right? I just think that no one on this planet understands everything. Yeah. You don't know much about our own galaxy, much less other galaxies.
Hide in ignorance. It's fucking unbelievable.
Okay. Okay. This was so painful. I mean, my face watching this. Oh my God. I love the distinction of, I'm not an atheist, I'm an agnostic. They're both atheists. They're both atheists. They don't understand words. And I'm not even going to insult my audience by explaining to you what the difference is. Fuck. For the fucking love of God, you believe what you believe. For the fucking love of God, you believe. For the fucking love of God, you believe what you believe. It's about not believing when you're an atheist. But, oh, Anna. So Dave right there is just neck deep in, oh, can we know anything? Isn't it hypocritical? Atheists say they know there's no God. He's one step away from asking atheists to prove there's no God. Just failing on so many fronts there. That was the early form of Dave Rubin. Then he went into what he calls the second, what he described as the first version of the Rubin Report, which was really after all of this. So after all this, he starts talking to guys like Sam Harris and Michael Shermer. And he thinks, yeah, maybe atheism is a thing. And that's when you got him talking like this about atheism.
God, Jesus, Voldemort, Optimus Prime, Kylo Ren, Falcor, Donald Trump. What do they all have in common? Well, they're all characters humans created to tell stories and to answer big questions. Whether you believe these characters are real or not is up to you. This is exactly what having a belief means. There is no more evidence that God exists or that Jesus was his son than there is that Optimus Prime was a real talking, transforming robot, or that Falcor helped Atreyu stop the nothing in the never-ending story. Belief is the question here. A leap of faith is what makes man believe in ideas he would never accept if they were presented outside the realm of religion. If a friend told me that LeBron James dunked from half court, meaning he jumped all the way from half court to slam the ball in the hoop with one jump, I would ask for video of this claim. If my brother told me that he could turn water into beer, I would demand that he do it in front of me, not just give me some watered down Bud Light and take his word for it. Yet for some reason, Jesus walking on water, or Moses talking to a burning bush, or Muhammad riding a winged horse to heaven are things that we're supposed to take on faith. If I told you right now, with all the cred that I've gained from you guys, that I rode a winged horse to the studio today, you'd say that I was totally bonkers. And you'd be right, because the truth is that I rode in on Falcor, who is a winged luck dragon. This brings me to atheism. The best definition I've found for atheism is it is not a denial of gods, it is a lack of belief in gods. This is an incredibly important distinction to make. An atheist isn't denying that a god or gods exist. An atheist is just asking for evidence of such an incredible claim. All this really means is applying the same standard of belief in pretty much anything else you do in your life to the biggest questions of the universe. You don't just believe magical pictures come out of your television. Scientists and engineers created the correct conditions for your TV to exist. You believe your TV is there and does what it does because of the evidence right in front of you. You don't just believe the audio coming out of your iPhone is magical Apple elves living inside that thing singing. You know that you downloaded the entire soundtrack to Dreamgirls and sing it in your room every night. It didn't just magically appear there. The point here is that believing in something without evidence is up to you, but it shouldn't trump anyone else's belief in things that are empirically provable. If you find comfort in believing in God or gods or the spaghetti monster or whatever else is out there, then that's fine as long as you don't push your beliefs on or kill other people who believe in something else. Again, all the atheist is saying is, I don't believe without evidence. It reminds me of this quote by the great Carl Sagan: "Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence." Hearing that a guy talked to a burning bush doesn't prove anything other than that he might be crazy or took some really great magic mushrooms. If he can prove it, well, then we've got a whole other discussion on our hands. Interestingly, many polls show that atheists are still one of the least. I know there is a push, mainly on the left, to demonize atheists as Islamophobes or neocons. Not irrational to fear a set of ideas true. Then we can.
Right. So clearly he's been reading Sam Harris, listening to Richard Dawkins. You know, he got the message. He was watching my videos, etc. That video, the video you just saw a clip from was called Dave Rubin on Atheism, and it's from April 27th of 2016. Before he left Aura TV, before he went independent, before he blew up, like he said. This is before the $26,000 a month on Patreon, which I think might have changed a few things. Because, and I like that, he said he focuses on free speech. And I like that, he said he focuses on free speech exclusively. Exclusively. Everything you say is a noun, a verb, and then free speech. The man would beat the drum of free speech is good. The man talks about free speech every day of his life. Just a hollow platitude, which we all understood. We got it the first time. You've said it 10 million times. What the hell? What the hell? What he was doing was he was criticizing the far left, similar to what I do. You know, there's ridiculous, you know, the people on the far left, you know, the people on the far left are the people on the far left are totalitarian. They don't want free speech. They don't understand free speech. They would tell you that they're into free speech and then be like, yeah, but not the people we don't like. Just like they'd say, I'm against violence, but I would punch a guy who I think is a Nazi. Sure, why not? So as Dave started blowing up, he began to cha-ching a little bit. So he started seeing those numbers roll, and he started veering to the right, to the point where his coverage of Trump was ludicrously soft. And he tried to take a middle-of-the-ground position. Why? Well, what's the answer to 9 out of 10 questions?
Middle of the ground?
And he tried to take a middle-of-the-ground position. Why? Well, what's the ludicrously soft and ludicrously soft and he why position? Why? Ludicrously soft? Why? Well, what's the answer to 9 out of 10 questions? Money. He started making money. He started polling his audience. He started to understand who they were, and what is a winning formula. You might ask, a winning formula for what? Again, the answer is money. He would talk to guys like Milo Yiannopoulos, who would say, I'm making a killing. There's a market here. There's a market here on the right. What he likes to call the new center, which is just a garbage term, which means people who are not on the left and who are on the right, and all the alt-right people and all the Pepe the Frog peoples and all the Pepe the Frog people and all the Pepe the Frog, all the Pepe the Frog peoples. Pepe the Frog people, the Pepe the Frog people, and all the Kekistani. I mean, all that group were the people he was catering to. Were the people he was speaking to. Were the people he was catering to. He was catering to. So he brings on conservative after conservative, and he builds up this army of people, and the money starts coming in because he's a voice against the left. And he himself is veering, and he himself is veering, is leaving the left. And he himself is leaving the left in it by and joining the right. Joining the right. And those are his own words. He did a video for Prager University, a conservative channel, saying why I left the left. Got millions of views. He appears on Alex Jones. Shoots the shit. They're buddies. You think he got a boost from that? A financial boost from visiting Alex Jones? From visiting Alex? Yes. Follow the money, basically follow the money. So now he's looking at people like Jordan Peterson. And what is Jordan Peterson doing on Patreon? Well, we know. He's making banko. He's making bank. He's making bank. And what's the secret to that little success? Well, who's he? Jordan Peterson's got the Pepe the Frog dudes. He's got those Kekistani dorks. He's got those Kekistani cunts. He's got those Kekistani cunts. He's been called alt-right. He doesn't like the label. But one of those issues that Jordan Peterson is middle of the road on, to say the very least, is the issue of religion. I did a video earlier where he's asked a simple question, do you believe in God? He freaks out. Says, depends what you mean by believe, depends what you mean by God. The guy comes back, do you believe Jesus Christ? The guy comes back, do you believe Jesus Christ rose from the dead? Do you believe Jesus Christ? Depends what you mean by Jesus, it depends. Christ was resurrected. Do you believe Jesus Christ? Do you believe Jesus comes back? Do you believe Jesus Christ was resurrected? It depends what you mean. It depends what you mean by Jesus. It depends what you mean by resurrection. I mean, the guy is a word salad generator who puts the woo-woo of Deepak Chopra to shame. Yeah, Jordan Peterson, a crusader against postmodernism who doesn't accept the concept of truth. Well, there are connotations and, because there's connotations to the, there's. So now Dave is talking about shifting into a new phase of his life. The completely sold out phase of his life.
%, control the content. Whew, where to begin? Hey guys, welcome from Possibly Imagine. So just give me a little more time on that one. Unsurprisingly, the news cycle kept on spinning without me, and I'm just considered today to be the first episode of season 3 of the Rubin Report. Our first season of the Rubin Report as an interview show began 2 years ago when we launched on Aura TV with my interview with Sam Harris. Over the next year, the show began to blow up as we focused more and more on free speech and the battle for logic and reason to be put back into public discourse. About a year ago, we left Aura and went fully independent so we could 100% control the content we were creating as well as the business behind it. I consider this phase of our show to be season 2. I don't know if any show out there has a more diverse guest list over the past 2 years, and I intend on expanding on that, going deeper on the important issues that we're talking about and more. Your support allows me to do what I think is right instead of focusing on what content will make a dime. Will make a dime. Do what I think is right instead of focusing on what content will make a dime.
That was so... Oh my God, that was almost perfect projection. Their support, Dave, is what lets you make the dimes, the shekels. And what you think is right is to make more shekels. It's not even a secret. It's not like Jordan Peterson, who, he was a grown-ass adult who had a career and an income, and Jordan Peterson is not some bloodthirsty capitalist. He took an influx of money, but he's trying to reinvest it and do something good with it. Dave has always been about making money. That's why he does this. This was not just a hobby of his. He's like, oh, well, maybe I'll make a YouTube channel. No. So the question is, how can you make more money in this world? Cater to atheists? Pronounce your atheism? Or maybe bullshit on atheism? Yeah, maybe muddy the waters a little bit on that. Let's invite that Christian dollar in, shall we? Not even just the Christians. Let's get that spiritual but not religious, woo-woo, agnostics. Let's get all that shit in. Milo does it. Jordan Peterson does it. Those dudes are pretty rich. How do you think David Silverman's Patreon's doing? Let's go take a look at that. Let's go take a look at that.
Not English.
Let's go take a look at that. Well, he's not on Patreon. Look at that. Well, he's not on Patreon. They have their own donation. They have their own donation system on theamericanatheist.org. But Dave Silverman is in it for the cause. He's not in it to make money. And once again, let me just point out, there's nothing wrong with making money. What people find irritating, myself included, is when you say that's not what you're about, is to our face. To our face. You lie to our face.
Whether YouTube demonetizes us or the algorithms work against us because of dangerous or controversial topics that we cover, the Rubin Report will continue to cover the issues that really matter, having the detailed, nuanced conversations you'll never get on mainstream news. With this in mind, I'm thrilled to be launching season 3 of the Rubin Report with one of the few people I find that consistently makes some sense of the endless for years now.
So knowing the history of Dave Rubin's views on atheism, let's listen to what he's saying now that we're in the third phase of the Rubin Report. He knows his audience. He's familiar with the bank account of Milo Yiannopoulos and Jordan Peterson and Alex Jones. Let's see if he's got a new thought about atheism, shall we?
Answer. So I do want to say something around your house. This is our real regeneration. Have you become a believer already by being offline? I'm so glad you asked that question. And I wasn't going to get into it right now, but I'm glad you asked it. And I'm reading all these things live, so you might ask me something that I'm not prepared to answer. So I do want to say something about the believer thing. So, you know, until I started this show on Aura 2 years ago, so earlier before I said the thing about that I consider this the third season of this show. So, you know, originally when we launched the Rubin Report and we were part of the Young Turks, it was a different show altogether.
Pulling a
lot
Neil
of the things
deGrasse
that I was
Tyson?
talking about was different, just the whole thing. So I kind of put that version of the show aside. Then I would view season 1 of the Rubin Report as being, when we launched on Aura TV, the first episode that I think most of you have seen was the first time that I had ever met Sam Harris. And we had a great run at Aura, and then we decided to leave. It had a lot to do with my original discussion with Yaron Brook about rational self-interest and working for yourself and all that kind of stuff. So I would consider season 1 of the Rubin Report was that whole run at Aura. I would say season 2 of the Rubin Report started last June when we decided to go independent. We went on Patreon, so this is about 14 months ago or so, maybe 15 months now. I would consider that to be season 2. Everything we did from there, from going independent to then buying this house and having a home studio, all of that season 2. I would say as of today, we are now in season 3. The reason I mention all this in terms of believer is because when we did the thing on Aura, and I had Sam on first, I suddenly had a burst of atheists on. I had Michael Shermer on and Peter Boghossian and obviously Sam and a bunch of others. And my feeling about belief always, I think always in my entire life, was that I just can't believe in something that isn't provable. But I never really said that I was an atheist or thought, didn't think about it, because I'd spent a lot of time in my life thinking about it. I've mentioned a story a couple of times about how when I was about 20 years old, I went to Egypt and I hiked Mount Sinai, which is supposedly where Moses got the 10 Commandments, and I was ready to have a religious experience, and it just didn't happen. It didn't happen. But in any event, I sort of got pinned into saying I was an atheist because I had all these people on, and by default, if you don't believe in something, and
Are you pulling a Neil deGrasse Tyson and showing me an aversion to acknowledging that you're an atheist? And always were. And always was. Now that reeks of weakness. It reeks of it. It's that regressive DNA yet again. I mean, they talk about soft atheist, hard atheist. This is soft atheism to the point of it's not even solid. It's a gash. It's gaseous. Solid. It's a solid. It's gas. Solid. It's gas. Solid. It's gaseous. It's solid. It's solid. It's gaseous. This is an atheist fart. There's no difference. Those two things are not even. Oh my God, they're trying to. Every time I try to get out of atheism 1.0, there's.
Peter Boghossian and I talked a bit about the difference between atheism and agnosticism.
There's no difference. Those two things are not even. Oh my God, they're trying to Oh my God, there's no Oh my God, Oh my God, they're trying to. They pull me back in every time I try to get. Every time I try to get out of atheism 1.0, they pull me back in. Oh, you've been pinned into calling yourself an atheist, eh? Well, you are an atheist. Sorry to pin you on that. Have they pinned you? Have those gays in West Hollywood pinned you into being called a gay? You do gay stuff. You are a gay. Are you averse to saying that you're gay? I mean, you spent much of your life in the closet, so there's that.
But I kind of got pinned into it. I don't want to get too lost in that right now. But I kind of got pinned into it. And one of the things that I was thinking in this last month, which is why I'm glad you asked this question, and I'll have some people on to discuss it a little bit further, is I can't, look, there are probably things that I believe that I can't prove. So like, I'll just give you an easy one that people use as an example. Look, if you say, well, do you love your mother?
I like this idea, pinned into it, like it's some bad thing. Like, God damn it, they forced me to admit I was an atheist. He understands that the position of being an atheist is going to turn off a huge percentage, of the people of the world, is going to turn off a huge percentage of the people of the world who will pay you money. Ever heard of a televangelist? These dudes that have these mega churches, they're rich. They're buying jets. You see that dude in Houston? You see that dude in Houston? What's his name? I don't even know his name. Did you catch that freak show who runs the church in Houston? Joel Orstein, Orifice, whatever. Olstein, Joel whatever, Orenstein, Orville Redenbacher, Orifice. You see his haircut? Joel whatever, Olstein, Joel whatever, Orenstein, Orifice, whatever. Olstein, Joel whatever, Orenstein, Orville Redenbacher. You see his haircut? You think that's a $10 haircut? You think that's supercuts? No, that's a custom job. That's going to cost money. What percentage of the dudes that pay Jordan Peterson do you think are atheists? Just take a guess.
Well, everyone says yes to that, but how do you prove that? How do you actually prove that? Is that actually provable? I don't know. But what I would say is I did think that you there. Well, everyone says yes. Things that I believe that I can't prove. So,
like religion, things you believe that you can't prove. So we're back once again to not even atheism 1.0. This is just dumb fuckery 1.0. It's religion's job. It's the religious person's job to prove there's a God. And you can take this word proof and throw it out the window, because you're begging to divert the conversation into one about agnosticism and into one about agnosticism, and can we know anything, and can we prove anything? When you, me, and everybody at this point should understand that it's not about proving, it's about building a credible case for the most likely event, a reasonable assumption based off all of the evidence. It's how science works, it's how common sense works, but he's using words like prove. And he prefaces this little spiel with, there are many things I believe in that I can't prove. And now he's not about to, and now he's going to pivot, and he's going to say, oh, I can't, and now he's going to pivot, and he's going to say, oh, I can't prove I love my mother. I mean, just ridiculous, retarded, like, this is fucking atheist. this is fucking atheism from like, this is Christian apologetics retarded, like this is Christian retarded, like this is Christian apologetics from like 40 years ago. When really what you if you understood the burden of proof and what the hell atheism even is, which you claim to understand, which you illustrated that you did understand back in chapter 2, you would understand that we don't have to prove anything. Atheists are the ones observing that those with the burden of proof, those making the ridiculous claims about the universe, have failed comically, miserably in that pursuit. But yes, Dave, it's very tricky to prove that you love your mom. And so therefore, it's difficult to prove your atheism? It's so dumb. It's like preciously dumb.
Like, I'll just give you an easy one that people use as an example. Look, if you say, well, do you love your mother? Well, everyone says yes to that, but how do you prove that? How do you actually prove that? Is that actually provable?
So asinine. Yes, okay, we understand the words love, and I always love how the words love, and I always love how the words love, and I always love that the religious people go to the word love. We understand the words love, and I always love that the religious people go to the word love on that, because they're all about love. It's like, love, God is love. Love shall set you free, all this crap. Love thy neighbor. Why not go to hate? You could just as easily go, prove that you hate somebody. And it's just a semantics game. Loving and hating are words. They have definitions. You can build a completely legitimate case that you love or hate somebody. It's not going to be proven in a court of law. This is a ridiculous mental masturbation session we're in. By this logic, you can't prove that OJ killed Nicole and Ron. They literally couldn't prove it. So I guess nothing matters, and we don't know anything, and there's nothing, and there's nothing, know anything, and there's nothing, and there's nothing, anything, and there's nothing, and anything, and that avalanche of evidence meant nothing, and it's probably 50-50, shit, probably innocent. And I love this example. Do I love my mother? Yes. What is the significance of this debate? Usually children love their mothers. Usually that's true. If you say you do, I have no reason to believe you're lying. If you exhibit behavior that is synonymous with, exhibit behavior that you exhibit behavior that is suggestive of the fact that you actually have strong feelings for your mother, then yeah, I'm going to take your word for it. It's neither here nor there. It doesn't matter. You're going to try to say, because I can't prove to a jury of my peers that I love my mother based off some non-existent standard of proving love to somebody, then you're going to give shade. Then you're going to give a pass. Then you're going to give a pass and provide shade to the ludicrous claims of the religious, such as virgin births, resurrections, there's a man in the sky, the universe was created by an entity who enjoys goat sacrifice. Dave, you're slipping a little bit you slipped. Fucking scandalously weak.
I don't know. But what I would say is I did think there were a few times, again, because I was in this place of real gratitude to you guys and allowing my brain to just kind of breathe a little bit more and all that.
Ah, gratitude to you guys. Yeah, the people that provide you money, the people that bought your house, the people that provide you, over $250,000, the people that provide you damn near $500,000 every year. Yeah, I'd be grateful to them too. Yes. Hey, if I started making videos, if the brony community, I've done a couple brony videos. If all of a sudden they started Patreoning me up the butt, they started showering me with Patreon money to the tune of $26K a month. You know what I would do? Probably do more brony videos. I probably might enter a different chapter of my life. One in which I'd say, adult men who are a bit socially awkward, a bit MGTOW-y, enjoying a cartoon geared for little girls about magical ponies. I think that's fine and it's good. And, I think, there are other, we all have things that, we all have things that sort of don't, we all have shows and things we like that weren't geared for us. And we all have things that shows and things that we like that weren't we all have things that we like that weren't geared for us, and we all have things that we like that weren't geared sort of don't things that we all have things that shows and things that we all have things we all have shows and things that we like that weren't geared for us, and I don't see anything wrong with them. And by the way, a lot of that's true, by the way. And by the way, there's nothing inherently wrong with bronies. I actually think there are good people. I actually think wrong with bronies. I actually think that it's a harmless whatever. But it is weird, and I'm not going to start doing pro-brony videos and pawn it off on you like, it's just me changing, people. I'm just changing. I'm evolving. I think some of you might connect the dots and be like, that $26,000 he's making a month from primarily the bronies, I wonder if he's going to continue to do that in the following year. Or is he going to veer away and do what he thinks is, quote, right? When you hear the Brinks truck backing up towards your house and it's making that beep, 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 you're going to gravitate to that. That's what you think is right now. That is what you think is right, and that is where you're going. That is why you've had the guests you've had on. That is why you've taken the stance you took against Trump. You've taken the stance. Why you've taken the stance you took. You've taken the stance. Taken the stance you. That is why you've taken the stance you took against. Why you've taken the stance you took against Trump. No, sorry. Did I say against Trump? I'm sorry. Towards Trump. That was an amazing shift there. That one's gonna age well. That one, your position on Trump has been aging quite nicely, don't you think, in the past year? It's just this simple. This man has abandoned his principles, changed his positions multiple times in the last 2 years, and every time he did it, it was to make more money. Does that escape anybody? It's just that basic.
that stuff. I was thinking that there are things probably that I believe that I can't necessarily quite explain, or that I wonder about, or whatever.
Like what, Dave? Ghosts? 9/11? Building 7? What are we talking about here, huh? Like what?
And maybe that's more just the spiritual side of things. I don't think that there is a man in the sky who's watching and judging who I have sex with or whatever.
Oh, so you're an atheist. Oh, cool. You're an atheist. Oh, did I just pin you into that? Oh, no. Walk that back a little bit, Dave. Some of the patrons might be watching. Oh.
Doing privately or any of that stuff. But maybe the phrase atheist...
He sounds more Jewy by the day. It's amazing.
Isn't so important relative to the things that I really care about, isn't that important. And that I possibly believe in some things that I can't quite explain yet.
He's basically saying, hey, all you Jordan Peterson fans who Patreon Jordan Peterson, I am not that much of an atheist. I had a few guests on and I got lumped into all that mess. No, nothing to see here. Maybe I have some doubts about the God thing, but, you know. Can I prove I love my mother? There are things that I can't explain. I'm not omniscient. So who knows? Maybe Patreon me. Thank you.
So I'm glad I don't even know that I fully formed that through yet, but I'm glad you asked about it.
I believe in some things that I can't explain. I can't explain whatever the fuck you just said or think you said. That doesn't mean I'm not an atheist. That doesn't mean that God belief is justified. Belief is justified in any way. But thanks, yeah, we don't have total mastery of all things in the universe, so therefore God. Thanks, Dave. He's acting like saying you're an atheist. By the way, you've never said it. You had a video, like a 7-minute video of you talking about atheism, very bluntly explaining exactly why it's ridiculous to believe in God. You explained the burden of proof. You explained reason. You explained scientific evidence. You seem to understand the concepts. You seemed to understand the concepts. However, that was a couple months before you went independent, before you relied on Patreon money, before you made a financial decision to de-emphasize your atheism for money. Dave, are we supposed to be impressed by that? Like, you don't even have to be an anti-theist like me. By the way, everybody should be that. It's like almost fucking brain dead of you to not be an anti-theist. Oh, I know you're not. Oh, but maybe being anti is bad, right? Yeah, okay, call yourself a humanist. Call yourself a secular humanist. Secular humanist. Spin it. All secular humanist. Spin it however you want. By the way, being against labeling yourself anti-something is another sign of regression and weakness, just so you know. But you don't have to be as outspoken an atheist as me to understand that this is hypocritical, to understand that this is wishy-washy bullshit being presented to you. And the motivation here is not because Dave thinks this is right. He's not some principled dude with integrity. He's a man who's got to pay his mortgage. And he acts like calling yourself an atheist is like admitting you were a communist. And he acts like calling yourself an atheist is like admitting you were a communist. Have you ever been associated with the atheist movement, Dave?
Correct me on this. That I had.
You can already tell. You can already tell. You can already tell the defensiveness in which he comes into this conversation. He's talking to. It's as if It's as if he's talking to a group of Christians and he's playing like, look, I never said it out loud. I mean, you know, like I never said I was gay before. I used to, you know, have sex and all that. I used to have boyfriends and, you know, I used to, you know, was gay before. I used to, you know, have before. I used to have boyfriends before. I was gay before. I used to have boyfriends and, you know, suck cock and all that, but I never said it. Never said it. So, oh, you fooled us, Dave. Yeah. I guess you're not an atheist unless you publicly say it. It's like, Dave, you're clearly an atheist then and now. Dave, you're clearly an atheist then and now. But yeah, keep talking to that Christian audience. Pedal.
Said it. I was always happy to have a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, you said it before the Patreon money came in, and then now and before you left the left, the Patreon money came in, and then Patreon money came in, and before you left the left and went to the right, which is clearly the more religious side of the political spectrum. So, and then all the money came in. And then all the money came in and the subs came in, and so now the religion thing got to go. Why I Left Atheism by Dave Rubin. The answer, money.
Other than I'm just saying, making any major change other than
me bullshitting and pissing on and me bullshitting and other than me bullshitting and other than me bullshitting and
Other than me bullshitting.
other than me bullshitting and other than me bullshitting other than me bullshitting and other than me bullshitting and other than me bullshitting and pissing on your face telling you it's raining. Other than me bullshit.
I can't quite explain. And I'm not even sure what I think that's possible.
Things you believe in that you can't explain. Citation? Can we get an example? So you believe in stuff that, okay, oh, is it the pyramids, Dave? How did they stack those rocks on top of each other? I mean, it's crazy. Those pyramids are so big. They would need stairs or... Because, I mean, and those rocks are so heavy. How do you get one rock on top of another rock? You need some sort of stairway system, and you might need ropes, or a huge pool of manual labor. God, or even decades to build those things. Well, they had all that. Talk about poisoning the well with just Jesus, what a beautiful distraction. In terms of atheism, I mean, yeah, it's very confusing. Some things we just don't, I mean, like, look, in terms of the whole atheism versus God belief thing, I mean, confusing. What a beautiful distraction. Some things we just don't, I mean, like, look, in terms of the whole atheism versus God belief thing, look, in terms distraction. Look, in terms of the whole atheism versus God, beautiful distraction. Look, in terms of the whole atheism versus God belief thing, I mean, look, Bermuda Triangle. Bermuda Triangle, you know? It's like, you know, who shot JFK? Was it one shooter or was, grassy knoll? So, don't act like you know everything, and let's just keep that money flowing. Thank you. What intellect, Dave?
Popping around in our head that don't all fully, idiosyncratic little things popping around in our head that don't all fully line up all the time.
What? I mean, this is beautiful. Oh man, this is beautiful. I mean, this man is. Oh man, this is beautiful. A lot of us have idiosyncratic things popping around in our head. Dave, I don't know what's going on in your head. Dave, let me just explain to you on this channel known as Atheism is Unstoppable. There is no God. Religions are obvious man-made fabrications, lies, Dave. It's all baseless, anti-science, fairy tales meant to delude the masses and to indoctrinate the children with. It's all fear-based. We understand the origins of it. It's not remotely credible or compelling. In fact, it's a joke. It's such a joke that only a couple years after coming together as a group, the atheists, we're so sick to death of beating the dead horse that is this, quote, debate, that we've, by and large, left the topic entirely. Having laughed ourselves to tears and been thoroughly unimpressed with all of the counter arguments. Dave's in a whole new world. He's rolling with a new crowd now. A crowd that's willing to fork over money. A crowd that's willing to fork over money. And let me just... A crowd that's willing to fork over... A crowd that's willing to fork over money. And let me just... If Dave Rubin re-released the video he did on atheism on his channel now, he would lose thousands of dollars in Patreon. Guaranteed. Guaranteed he would. And that's why you're seeing this scramble right now. Oh, and by the way, this happens to me on a far smaller scale. This happens to me on a far smaller scale. This happens to me on a... By the way, this happens to me on a far... This happens to me on a far smaller scale. So during the election, I could have polled my audience. In fact, I did poll my audience. 50% of them were Trump fans. You're probably still out there right now. What did I do? I said fuck Trump, and I still say fuck Trump. And you know what happened to me? I lost Patreon money. A ton of it. Like 50% of it. Did I then scramble and go, if Trump fucks up, I'll hold his feet to the fire. But, Hillary's bad too. So that's a little misdirection. I'm not fully on board with everything Hillary says, which is true, but it's 96 to like 12. When I took the political compass test, I was 96. I was 96% in line with Hillary, 12% with Trump. So if I were to pretend that it wasn't 96-12 and try to make you think that it was 50-50, you might be clued in to the fact that I'm doing it for a reason. Just like Dave saying, there are certain things that I don't know everything about. Therefore, religion is kind of potentially true. Therefore, my atheism is something I was pinned into. I barely even... What? Atheism? What? Me? No. What? Well, Dave, Jesus, I mean, it's almost brazen. You almost have to congratulate the guy for being this brazen about his lies. His lies. I mean, and here's the beautiful thing. In the end, Dave has a huge platform now, 500,000 subs, and he's making a ton of money. So he's fine. So he's fine. Don't worry about Dave Rubin. This is the reason, though, that so many people have left him, are annoyed by Dave Rubin. It's the lies. It's the cover-up. In other words, it's not that Monica Lewinsky sucked Bill Clinton's dick. It's that Bill Clinton lied about it. That's the part that we can't stand. And once again, we're not little, and once again, we're not atheists. And like I said, most atheists, myself included, are not sitting there counting all the atheists being like, ooh, let's get Dave Rubin on our team. Let's promote atheism all the time. We're sick to death of it. We've said our piece and we've moved and we've moved on. The morons are going to be the morons. The weak are going to be the weak. You figure it out. Do it on your own time. Do it on your own time. Get back to me when you're frigging. Get back to me when you're not an intellectual laughingstock, and then maybe we'll talk about something else of value instead of your make-believe sky people. Sky people. But Dave consistently lies on this, and he does it for profit. He did it with his politics. He did it with his politics, and now he's doing it with his religious beliefs. Shame on Dave Rubin. You take your clothes off and you walk. And you walk throughout King's Landing. And feces will be thrown upon you. And people will spit on you. What a thoroughly embarrassing and totally transparent display of profiteering, display of greed, transparent, display of greed and profiteering from a man with a complete lack of integrity. Bye.
The kettle is here. The war kettle rages on. What's up? So that's my little piece about Dave Rubin, which, editing that, it's draining. And because I just said it last night or this morning, and now I had to go through it. And I invented it all. Dave Rubin taught the Charlottesville killer how to drive. Potentially. Bold claim. Defend your clan. There's Green Moose. Another day of him beating the AIDS virus, which has ravaged even his brain in a savage manner. But it's going well. Just drinking some tea. Girlfriend watching a TV show. I'm in the middle of Narcos season. Got some new ideas on some new videos. This is one of them. Glad to see the true atheists are showing their colors, like Billy. It's stunning. It's stunning to see people try to push this conversation about atheism to new places where it's just fake news. Atheism, science is fake news. Burden of proof is a fake burden. Going backwards, it's like the ebb and flow of a stock market. You make gains and then you drop back. Devin, you're my favorite white male. Well, straight white male too. I'll have you know, in case you're getting any homoerotic desires. Yeah, me, Jesus. Yeah, being honest about race, I guess that's uncomfortable. I mean, talking about religion, spitting in the face of somebody's deep, most sacredly held beliefs. Being like, you and your entire life, the project that you call your life, has been a colossal joke. And by the way, so are your parents and grandparents and brothers and sisters. You're all batshit insane. That's going to be uncomfortable, sure. That's called a confrontation. To take it a step further, to talk about somebody's race, that's even more a part of somebody's identity than their religion. A religion you can change. That's just a mindset. That's software. You want to talk about somebody's hardware and speak critically about it? Jesus. Oh, this is not lovey-dovey talk. No, we're not in kindergarten anymore. War kettle is ready, sir. Man the cannons? Yeah. Devin, have you lived near the Watts in California, where Bloods and Crips got it real bad in the 90s? Yeah, it's all close by, but no, I didn't live near Watts. There's no reason to go to Watts. Florence and Normandy, you pass that shit, you're going to the airport. But no, I grew up with Crips. Like, there were Crips in my class. There was a guy named Curtis Smith, straight up Crip. He'd come into like chemistry class wearing these sagging blue jeans, a plaid blue shirt, friggin' blue necktie. I'm talking straight Crip. He'd have a pager on him. He'd have some black girlfriend that he's fucking. Couldn't give a shit about school, or he'd just straight up cheat off people. Yeah, he's probably dead. I was a minority in my high school. In fact, I was the only person from my private school that I went to in Santa Monica to go to a public junior high. So I was thrown into the public school world, which is, there's some social benefits to that. But yeah, I could have gone a different route, but I didn't. Because my two older sisters were eating up the family funds with college, and I got the short end of the stick. Armored Greg Rubin, the gay centrist. Yes. Armored Dave. True. And he tries to pawn that off as, my centrism is my strength. See how great I am? I can point out flaws on both sides. And just all sense of perspective is lost. It goes back to me being 96% with Hillary, 12% with Trump, which is like, 12% is like, you get 12% on the SATs if you put your name in. That's the 12% I agree with Trump about. Is America a nation? Yes. Trump agrees. Well, you agree with him on 12%. Were you careful about wearing red? Yeah, you have to be. You wouldn't do that. And even after the fact, like, I would have bandanas and like, people can fuck with you for whatever reason, but there are no white people in these gangs. That's why they're black identitarian movements. That's why it's ridiculous that Sam Harris would compare white identitarianism, white identity politics are worse than all others. And his example, the Nazis versus the civil rights movement. This is fantastic. How about a yacht club is a white identitarian movement, and the Bloods are a black one? How about that? Now, Sam thinks about it in a certain way. What do you think Dave Room will turn into during season 3? More of the same. It's whatever the money tells him to turn into. So if it's not an election year, so that's going to probably take a little bit of a back seat. It's going to be more philosophy. I think he's going to follow the Jordan Peterson model. He's going to try to seduce the largest number of people to give him the most amount of money. That's what I think he's going to do. He's in a business. I mean, he didn't even pretend to not be in a business. The gay analogy was spot on, Devin. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, do you think other gays would be offended if he was like, look, I've never announced my gayness. I don't even like to talk about being gay. I think I've never said I was gay. Like, the greater point, Dave, is you were gay. You've always been gay. There's nothing wrong with being gay. Why are you hiding from the word gay? Well, if homophobes were paying you money, then you might. If Christians were paying you money, you might want to not beat the atheism drum. Chrissy's in the house, so shoot those ropes. Why is Dave so lazy? Yeah, he takes these vacations and he acts like he's just God's gift to the world, where it's like, Dave, we don't care. We don't even know you're gone. I mean, it's just, the guy comes back, makes a video, says stupid shit, and it's like, oh, well, now I'm going to react to this stupid shit. But the fact that you're out gardening is of no consequence to literally everyone on the planet. And he acts like, just so you know, let me tell you, I came back and, God, it was like I was, in a time capsule. And I come back and Charlottesville and there's a hurricane. And yes, Dave, it's fascinating. You turned off your computer and for some reason you think this is a spiritual quest and you're sitting in a cave doing ayahuasca. It's fucking so unimportant what is happening in that man's head. What Christian would pay you money? See, here's Patrick. See, the cognitive dissonance is very real right here. And Patrick knows that if I were to bullshit him and to be like, no, being a Christian is totally valid. And, because they have their beliefs, but let's see, what is something I believe that I'm not sure about? JFK. I think there was a second shooter. Can I prove it? No. So Patrick thinks he's going to heaven. Can he prove that? No. He can't prove that. I can't prove JFK. So even. Perfect. Yeah. Whatever, bro. The first I knew of Rubin going anywhere was this stream. Who the fuck cares? Yes. Yes. He's a celebrity in his own mind. And, you make a case for it. But see, you could see the change. So I knew Dave Rubin when he was a TYT guy. Talk to the man, call the man. I did work for the man. He had very few subs. Now, you got 500,000 subs. Ooh. I am new media. I could be on HBO, he said in this stream. Same production value, less budget. In fact, it's almost a pitch to HBO. Yeah, this is the new center. I am the center. Imagine that as a concept. It's crazy. It's crazy talk. It's delusions of grandeur. I'm in dating mode? Not with that pink shirt, you're not. Gay! We love you to death, Devin. Well, thank you. Don't say that around Rowan, because that will trigger him. Dave Rubin is such an idiot, says an anonymous icon. Couldn't even be bothered to show us, to visually represent himself to us. Show us a little flavor. Instead, he just goes with that. Unless he chose that and is being ironic. That would be crafty. I think Dave would have more audience if you... No, but here's the thing. You're going to lose the liberal atheist support to your channel. And he's like, and so what? Have you seen my Patreon? He doesn't care. And like I said, the atheists are not forking out money to support atheism anymore. It's lost all of its vigor. There's no debates. It's been done. So there's a new era. And what is happening in that era? You're seeing a bunch of things happen. This shift to the right, where you get, it's that shift. The shift that annoys me. It's not like the dudes who are always on the right. Ben Shapiro being on the right. Douglas Murray. Who's a right-leaning dude in America? Just some hick from Texas. The guy's been a Republican his whole life. It's the Andy Warskis. It's the Joe Live Lifes. It's the dudes who, I guarantee you, if they took a test, it would not say you're a Republican. They claim to be liberal. They're like, ooh, I agree with, yes, I agree on that. Yeah, all the issues. Yep. But I just feel like I should be on the right because it's edgier. I feel like I should be on the right because the SJW's on the left. What the fuck does that mean? It's like saying, hey, there's a bunch of stupid people in America, so I feel like I should be on Russia's side. No. It's weak. I'm on the left. I fully acknowledge that there's a bunch of fucking idiots on the left. But that doesn't mean they're wrong about taxes. Doesn't mean they're wrong about, just every single issue. Gay rights. Education. Healthcare. Doesn't mean they're wrong on those things. So stop pretending like an issue is political when it's just emotional. It's just people being emo. Oh, Lord almighty. What is this? Rubin has no credibility left. Oh, yeah, that ship has sailed, my friend. long time ago. A shameful burst of atheism. Huh? Yeah, he deleted that for show. The image editor app on my phone comes in handy. If you have doubts, just ask yourself, what would Rubin do? Oh, Christ. For 26. Exactly. Good. I'll save that and insert it into my video. Dave Rubin agreeing to Prager's absurdity. Really. This is probably that clip.
You're right. That's why I used Christians.
Yeah.
America was
right,
found.
Right. So each one of these guests he has come on whittle him down, and you could see the influence. It's like
It was found.
Okay. You ever have a dream? You fall asleep and you dream, and like last night I had a dream. It was some warped ass dream where I was at a wedding party and there was a lot of angry feelings, but it was Asians. Everybody was Asian except for me. And I wake up and I think, why the fuck was I dreaming about Asian people? And it was because I had mentioned Asians the previous day, talking to my girlfriend about my video where I was talking about the IQ of Asians and Asian crime rates. So the word Asian was in my subconscious. That's why I dreamt about Asians. In the same way, why is Dave Rubin going soft on religion? Well, look who he's talking to. He's talking to a man who is a Jew, but who is like some wonk for Judeo-Christian Western civilization kind of bullshit. So even though he's some sort of, what's it called? Just like Reformed Jew, he's still a believing Jew. He believes in God. And he's a conservative. What do you know? Dave has a conservative on. And he's a guy who has hooked Dave up financially, brought him onto his huge platform to promote his why he left liberalism, or why he left the left, sorry. Classical liberal. Right. And they agree on Israel, strong support for Israel. And so Dave's sitting here listening to the guy, and it's eroding his thought process. The man is soft. He's soft. He doesn't know what he believes or why. He believes in whatever the last guy who talked to him told him to believe. So when I told him that he should not be a regressive and that the Young Turks were hypocritical for this, and this reason, he believed me. Now, did he understand me, or did he just take what I said as true? You can't just absorb a good idea and follow it blindly. You have to know why it's a good idea. In fact, I would recommend everybody teach a good idea. Say it in your own words. If you've ever heard me say something, or anybody that you take on board, don't just listen, don't just parrot. Think about it. Think for one friggin' second. And then tell it to somebody else. And in the telling, you will have to crystallize it, formulate your argument in such a way that it makes sense to you and to somebody else, which is the whole point of arguments and the whole point of talking, basically.
Founded by fundamentalist Christians who produced an incredibly rational society.
No. What? And Jordan Peterson talks about this mess too. Rational society. Rational based off a set of ludicrous ideas. And what does that even mean? So if you're building a community, civically speaking, yes, there are things that are done that are rational in that process. None of that is based or predicated on the religion. It's like, hey, Jesus rose from the dead, therefore let's water our plants and let's have commerce set up in this society. No, this is absurd. Once again, religion taking credit for shit has nothing to do with.
The competitive marketplace, the free market.
The free market is a religious... What? Oh, this is a beautiful blend. So these are free market dickheads. That's the conservatives. And they try to shoehorn in somehow like the doctrines of Jesus Christ, who said, give everything, think nothing for the morrow, give to the poor constantly, just charitable. Jesus was so not a free market capitalist. It's crazy. Okay, but somehow it makes sense in this old fat sack of toad shit's brain.
Liberty. These were very rational ideas. They were very religious men.
What?
Not all, but many of them were.
Religious men. Oh, great. So now, why am I now dissecting a Dave Rubin or Dennis Prager video? Why do I waste this shit on people? Why? Is this being recorded even? I'm not just going to say this for myself, because this is not interesting to me. Do you understand that? This is like, it's beneath me. What I'm doing right now is beneath me. But I'll just say one last point. Um, referencing the fact that they were religious people. Okay, and he's talking about hundreds of years ago. The foundation of the country in the 1700s. That's not impressive. Everybody was religious the further back in time you go. That doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that religion's good. It doesn't mean it's right or true or the best thing to be. That they were all slave owners. They were all ignorant of science. They were all, they were all a bunch of shit that it's not good or bad. It's just some random fact of history. And yet he's clinging to it like, I'm right because Thomas Jefferson believed in a God. And don't even, Thomas Jefferson was as much of an atheist as you could be back at that time in the pre-Darwin phase of human evolution. It's funny that I said human evolution, talking about Darwin, but yeah. And once again, that's my brain being triggered by the word Darwin, and then coming up, choosing out of all the words in my vocabulary, the word evolution, to describe the meandering of our advancement as a species, intellectually. So there was our understanding of science and how things worked in the universe and how we got here and why we got here, before Darwin and after Darwin. The founding fathers of America existed before Darwin. What did you expect them to do? You expected them to have all that knowledge sort of, I don't know, like, it's just a weird,
So, I welcome secularism in Iran, and I fear secularism in America.
Right.
I fear what a bloated toad. What do you mean you fear secularism? That's why America is great. That's fucking hell. You see these guys trying to turn back the clock, and Dave's going to agree with that? Is that what you're telling me? I fear secularism in America. I fear you saying that you fear secularism in America.
Right. There's something really there.
Oh, Jesus.
Between those two things, we probably have the right society, I suppose.
Yeah.
What? No, secularism is the right society. Period. Between secularism? Oh, you want to scale it back? Look at this joker.
So it's interesting because I see this constantly, and I'm sure you see it too, this constant attacking of straight white men.
All right, he's off on some other tangent. Fuck him. I hope you guys are doing well. Stay dry. Avoid hurricanes. Just craziness. Craziness afoot, but life goes on. And I'm going to go give the old GF a hug and figure out what's next. All right? I talk to you later. And I'm going to check. I have one new notification. Oh, please be something praising me. Oh. Classical retard, nice. How'd you find the font? Fantastic, Mike. Beautiful.